Hey everyone, welcome. It's good to see everybody tonight. I'm just going to go through and kind of say hi to everyone. Hello, Diane. Hey, Worldwide Crime. Good to have you here. Hey, Faye. I'm so glad you were able to make it, hun. Inquisitor 1313. Hello. Good to have you here. Hey, Y. Nice to see you. Welcome, Cold Truth. Very happy to have you in my channel. Maria, my sweet Maria. She's my bestie. Hi, Tamara. How are you this evening? Good to see you. Hope everybody is having a good evening. I realized Bruce emailed me or sent me a text and told me that it was the State of the Union is tonight. So, and I guess I'm in the middle of it. So we may not have a lot of viewers tonight, but it's okay. I'm really glad to be here with all of you. And hey, Katsy, welcome. Thanks for coming. I put together this show this afternoon, and I was, I know we're all aware of some of the things that are kind of going on in our community right now, and there's a lot happening, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit with everybody. Hey, Tech Death, good to see you. I'm so glad you made it. Make sure you're taking care of those babies. And AJ, hey you. How are you? How are everything's down under? Are you guys drying out down there? I certainly hope so. If everybody can hear me, could you put a 1 in the comments, please? I just want to make sure that my audio's working tonight. Thank you, guys. That's helpful. I had some issues the other night, and I didn't want to have those with you guys again tonight. So, Alicia, I'm so glad that you made it. Slinging Lead, hey, how are you? So good to see you guys. So good to see you guys. Oh, well, that's good. I'm glad. I rebooted my computer. I think that may have been part of my issue as well. And I also I had a ton of stuff open that night. So that might have been some of my issues as well. But anyway, let's hope that when I play the stuff I want to play for you guys tonight, that we can all hear it. Um, so I'm sure you guys are all aware that I even forgot what today is. What is today? Tuesday. I believe it was Sunday night that the captain put out from True Crime Garage. He tweeted this message about, I guess they're going to be having a podcast coming on this subject. He wasn't completely clear, but he said the pictured jacket featuring the Subaru company logo is believed to be linked to Bridge Guy of the Delphi murders case, and investigative sources have identified the jacket as belonging to Bridge Guy, and it's alleged that he worked for Subaru or had connections with an employee of the aforementioned. The jacket is not available to the general public as merchandise. It's classed as company attire. And True Crime Garage have been liaising with various sources, and as a result, other items have come to the forefront. More evidence and leads in the case are expected to surface. So kind of cryptic. I get it. I mean, I understand if people have sources and they don't want to divulge what they are, but I think in this kind of situation, when we're really truly not investigators or journalists or investigative journalists who really do have sources that they have to protect for the integrity of their jobs, so that, whatever. But in this case, I think what it leads a lot of people to believe is to be very suspicious about it. At least that's kind of how I feel, and kind of what the emotion is that I get from people. So just before I went on live, I got a message from True Crime Jesus, and he wanted to know if I knew about this information yet. And hold on a second, because I want to go back to his message to me so that I can read it. And he told me, he said, I just wanted you, he goes, I didn't know if you were aware of this yet. He knew I was going on live tonight, and he wanted to make sure that I had this. This is from a user named Stuart Blair. And Stuart said, he posted this, it looks like about 8 hours. Hello, Bruce. About 8 hours ago. These are the photos that are being passed around all over the internet. True Crime Jesus said the photos that TCG, True Crime Garage, has and have posted on their Twitter, and I believe Matt Sullivan has them posted on his Facebook, and I'm sure they're posted a lot of other places as well. Those photos are what this gentleman that I'm going to read to you, these are his photos. He says, these are photos from my jacket that I have advertised on eBay in the United Kingdom. I have been contacted for information on it. This was worn by one of the management team at ProDrive, which is a UK-based company that ran the Subaru World Rally team. This design was used between 1999 and 2006. I don't know if it was produced for general sale. In my opinion, it looks like the jacket in the pic differs to mine, as my one only zips around half of the way down. I hope this helps, and good luck. So I think what he's kind of describing is like maybe a wind cover, that only zips from like the neck partially way down the chest, is kind of how I understood it. I think golfers used to wear those for rainy days or something like that. But anyway, So I was really glad that he shared that with me. And he said he thought that I should have that information before we talked about this. So all I'm saying is we've talked about this before on my channel about evidence and about people claiming things about evidence. And one of the first things that I noticed, True Crime Maria and I were discussing this when this happened, when this Twitter happened, when it dropped. And we were talking about it. And I said, oh my gosh, I said, Kelsey just responded. And at that time, I think there were only like 4 people that had responded to him. And the first question she asked was, is this from law enforcement? Is this information from law enforcement? And, that was my question. It's like, hey, chaotic beauty, I am so good to see. It's so good to see you. I mean, I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for coming in. Um, and so anyway, I just want to say, I don't know what they're going to talk about on Thursday. Supposedly they're supposed to be um I'm sorry, Cold Truth. What? Well, hold on one second. I want to put this up here. She says, "Oh, thank goodness. I wasn't sure where you were going with this show." You'll find out real fast about me, Mel, that I'm behind law enforcement and evidence in this case, and I don't like to put forth bogus things. I don't like to put stuff out there that's not verified because I think it leads to a whole bunch of nonsense. So that's all. And I'm not trying to say that they may not have information. I'm not saying that law enforcement doesn't have an idea of the jacket. But I have to lean to where Kelsey's feeling. Um, hi, ditching the grind. Good to see you. I'm so happy you're here as well. Hey, Robert. Good to see you as well. But yeah, I'm really tired of people coming out and making these big announcements, and they're so vague, and it's like they do it days before they're going to do their show, and it's like, what's the reason behind that? I mean, I understand. I mean, I've worked for companies who have merchandise for employees and employees only, and it's not available to the general public. You literally cannot get it anywhere unless the person that has it was to donate it to Goodwill or something like that, which there's always that possibility. That somebody, may have worked at Subaru, they retired, and they took that to a thrift store. And Bridge Guy was looking for clothes to wear that day and picked something up. I mean, that is a possibility here. But when they talk about the fact that there's going to be more evidence and leads in the case are expected to surface from this, again, that gets everybody excited, and everybody wants to know what that's going to be and what could that possibly be. And, people start speculating and they start talking and everybody starts running down rabbit holes. And I'm not trying to be a negative Nelly. I certainly am not. I hope beyond hope that this brings about something. But I just want to, kind of put the brakes on and say, whoa, here, none of this is verified. And we just don't know. And frankly, I think it's interesting because I believe Crime Dive did a story on this at least a month or 2 months ago about this very issue, that law enforcement had retrieved the jacket in the woods sometime in March. They found it in the woods, is what he said he was told by a inside source. Now that's Matt Sullivan, so take that, with a grain of salt, because, he's not always been the most, how do I want to say this without bashing him? he's not always been the most straightforward person. And I'm not here to bash him. I just want to say that we all have to be careful when we run into stuff like this. I find it a little hard to believe that law enforcement didn't comb over those woods really, really well when they were doing their initial searches, that they wouldn't have come across something like a jacket. There wasn't that much snow on the ground. There was a little, but there wasn't much. And I just don't see it. I agree with that, Diane, completely. She said that all creators should be taken with a grain of salt. So, you know, it goes back to confirmation bias, which we talked about on Sunday night, and how we take in information and how we look at it and analyze it. And I just think we need to be honest, always be honest about where things are coming from, and not have this veil over it and make it seem like you know something more than anybody else out there knows. Yes, why I agree with you. Thoughts and prayers for those people in Ukraine. I agree. But yeah, thanks Cold Truth for saying that. She says that you're not negative for telling the truth. Even if it happened to be true, that kind of claim can hurt an investigation. And that's what we were also talking about. And I still believe that people can't seem to grasp that what they say and do online can actually end up in court one day. And, I played Cop Facts for everybody. And, Perry Freeman, was wonderful to let me utilize his content. I emailed him and asked permission, and he said, no problem. And if there's a video out there, AJ, if you could drop, if you're still out there, if you could drop Cop Facts's YouTube channel. And also, would you please, since Cold Truth's in here, can you please drop hers as well? And Chaotic Beauty as well. If you guys can look those up for me, my wonderful mods. Anyway, go out to Cop Facts's channel if you haven't seen it, but he put out a video a few months ago, and he said, we need to stop and take a look at what we're doing here on YouTube. And these, he's a retired detective from Colorado Springs. This man knows the law. He knows what's legal and what isn't. He knows what affects crimes and what affects the crime after the fact when you're trying to put a case together. Once it gets into court, what kind of things can taint it, as he put it. And some of the things that happen on YouTube, that's exactly what can happen. They're saying all this kind of stuff, and I'm not talking about the prosecution using it. I'm talking about the defense. The defense can pull this stuff out. They can call the YouTube creator into court and make them testify. They could use their video. All kinds of things can happen that could hurt the investigation. And as we've talked about before, all they have to do is stand up in front of a jury and convince one person that there's reasonable doubt based upon what's going on social media. They had over 75 to 100 POIs at one time in this case. And that's all. I'm just saying, I'm using that as a reference. And he could stand up there and say that, and then point and say, well, what's to say it's not this person or this person? Because all of these people believed it. They were posting about it every single day. And you're welcome, Chaotic Beauty. I feel that we women creators have to stay together. We have to stick together out here. And True Crime Maria has a wonderful channel. I believe that most people who are in here already know about her channel too. But she's got a great channel. Her videos are top notch, and she does really good work. And I love both of you, Chaotic Beauty and Cold Truth. Your channels are awesome. So they're right up there with Incognito Society. I love her as well. So I just want to to always, give credit where credit is due, especially to people who are not bashing the families and are sticking to facts in this case, because that's what we need to do. We're here to report on what's happening, and yeah, we can talk about speculation to a point, but not things that are going to be detrimental to the case, in my opinion. Um, Dan Redding asked me, was that Joe Kenda? No, Cop Facts is Perry Freeman. Um, Perry's getting ready to do a show with Joe Kenda. He announced that on one of his videos recently. They're getting ready to do a show on, I don't remember if it's on HLN or whichever show Joe Kenda's show's on. They're going to do one together. So I just know that that's supposed to be happening. I love Cop Facts. His He's very wise, he's very straightforward, he gets right to the point. Um, he just tells it like it is and then wraps it in a bow for you, basically. I just really like him. He's really he's really well versed, and like I said, he's got the experience, and he really cares, and I think that that's pretty evident as well. So I don't have a problem giving him a shout out as well. So I don't know how you all feel about the whole mess with the blue jacket, but I know that there's been a lot of talk, and for those of you that don't know, I do have a Reddit sub on Delphi called Delphi's Daughters. Um, I've had that now since about the end of August. Um, and I got tired of the Abby Libby sub where they were fighting and constantly berating the families, and it was just an awful mess there because it was an unmoderated environment. So that's what led me to start my sub. And so I spend a lot of time on Reddit too. And you know what's hilarious about Reddit? I said this to Nick Graziano, real chill Graz. He is one of the reasons why I started my channel, because he believed in me and said I should be out here talking. But one person here one time told me when I was modding in his channel that Reddit is where good facts go to die. And Reddit feels the same way about YouTube. It's like this love-hate relationship. It's hilarious because Reddit doesn't like YouTube and YouTube doesn't like Reddit. So I found that quite interesting myself. I think there's good information on both platforms. Um, I just think you have to know how to get away from your confirmation bias and weed out the bad stuff. And sometimes that can be hard for all of us to do. So, Kelsey asked us, if this is basically what Kelsey said, if it's not released by law enforcement, then it really doesn't clear anything up, unfortunately. They haven't said anything to us, the families, about releasing any new information. So law enforcement hasn't come to them and said, hey, guess what? We have the jacket. I mean, if they did, I would, I don't think the families would say anything anyway. That's going to be a huge piece of evidence. I don't think they're going to be talking about it much till they get to court. At least I wouldn't think they would be. So I do know someone who told me that law enforcement has known for quite some time that Bridge Guy worked at Subaru. That may be true. They may have already determined that. I have no way of knowing. But I know there's 2 POIs that have ran around all over this case, and we know who they are, that worked at Subaru. And I'm hoping beyond hope that this is not something leading up to them starting to talk about these 2 POIs again. Because I hope if they are, they have some really good reason to be bringing these two people back into the limelight. So, and I know one of them has just been recent. I mean, this poor guy's been drug over the rails. And I think those of you that have been following me since I started my channel know that I think what happened to JP on YouTube was horrible. So that's just me. Hey, Grizz, it's so good to see you. Welcome and thanks for joining. It's so good to have you here. Hi, Ivy Rose. Thanks for coming. So that's my feeling on that. I mean, I just can't imagine why anyone who would have thought that they had information on somebody they thought could possibly be Bridge Guy, and instead of just turning that over to law enforcement and through the tip line, they decided it was a good idea to bring him onto their YouTube channel and do in-depth interviews. That just blew me away. So please don't do that. That's, to me, is just, you don't bring somebody that you may suspect is Bridge Guy and do that. That's tainting the case. That's hurting the case. Hey, Wildflower Baby. So, anyway, getting back to where we were talking about the blue shirt rumors or jacket rumors. I just felt that it was something that we needed to talk about prior to their big reveal. I just wanted to make sure that everybody had their head in the game and realized that this might be just a whole bunch of smoke screen. I'm not a big enough channel yet, ditching the grind, to get super chats. I don't have enough subscribers yet. I think today I was like 3 below 500. I don't know when that happens. I didn't even check any of that out. I don't know how many you have to have or anything. So I don't have a Patreon either. I am, at this point in time, I have no true desire to really monetize my channel. I don't want to. I mean, I may at some point, but I don't really want people to feel like I'm here to take money on the backs of Abby and Libby. That's kind of how I feel about it. With that being said, I have come to find out how much work goes in to putting on not only the lives, but also making the videos. And there is an expense that you have to, put out to do that, to get the software and to do some things. And so I understand why people do. And I am not here to say that it's not a good thing to do. It's just how I was feeling about it. But I'm not there yet. I don't think I'm big enough yet to do that. But but thank you for asking. So, I always get hopeful for the families whenever anybody talks about something new coming up that could be possibly information in the investigation. But when it's something like this, it's coming out of social media, I'm more negative about it. And I don't know if that's fair and if that's how I should be. But I feel I'm right in feeling that way. Thank you, Ditching the Grind. I try. I really try. I agree with you on that. I'm going to put this up. Hold on one second. Ivy Rose says, how would they be able to ID the jacket from the video? Unless I'm misunderstanding their post, the logo is tiny and basically the same color as the jacket, and there's no way they can see it, in my opinion. And that's correct. Hold on a second. I'm going to pull up, I have the Twitter of the jacket. Let me share my screen with you guys. Hold on a second. And we can take a look at it. I hope you'll be able to see it well. So this is, let me get this off. This is the logo that's on the breast area, up or above the breast area on the, I believe it's on the left side, is if you had it on. Um, so that's the logo. And then this is, hold on a second. This is the jacket. And to me, and I don't know, this looks like a really worn jacket. I mean, you can kind of see the logo right there on the jacket, but this jacket looks really worn and old. And if you look at the photo of Bridge Guy, his jacket looks new. I mean, it doesn't look rough and worn like that to me. And I'm going to put up, hold on a second. I want to put up that if I can find it. I think he's got it here, but maybe he doesn't. There it is. So there's the picture, and you can kind of see it, but I think it's a darker blue to me, and I don't see all that fading that's this particular one has. You got, and maybe it's lighting. It could be just all lighting, but you see how that looks grayish to me on these arms. And then the gentleman that's come out and said that this is his photos of the jacket that he had on eBay. So, you know, maybe this is the jacket that they were just trying to get photos of. This isn't the true jacket, I don't think. This is just a picture of one that they found, because you can't get a hold of a Subaru jacket unless it's going to be handed down to you by somebody who worked there or given out into a Goodwill pile or something like that, or a secondhand store, whatever. So that's what that was about. So Ivy Rose, I had a conversation with True Crime Jesus right before I went on the air, and he sent me something he wanted me to have, because he knew that I was going to be talking about the jacket, and he sent it to me on Reddit. And it was from a guy named Stuart Blair. It's on my phone, so I can't show it. I wish I could. I will get it uploaded so that on my next live, I will show it so you guys can see it. But he just sent me the screenshot of Stuart Blair making this statement that these are photos from my jacket that I have advertised on eBay in the United Kingdom. I've been contacted for information on it. This was worn by one of the management team at ProDrive, which is a UK-based company that ran the Subaru World Rally team. This design was used between 1999 and 2006. I don't know if it was produced for general sale. In my own opinion, it looks like the jacket in the picture differs to mine, as mine only zips around half of the way down. So from the neck to like mid-chest. I hope this helps you, and good luck. So that was the comment from the gentleman that has one for sale on eBay. Yeah, I appreciate TCJ reaching out to me and giving me that information. He just wanted me to have it before I came on, because he knew I was going to be talking about this, and he's in agreement with me that he feels that this is a whole bunch of nothing. But you know what, we have to wait and see. Obviously, we're not going to know anything now. I don't think anybody's going to come out and tell anybody that this is truth, especially from law enforcement. So I would, if I had to guess, like I said, I believe Crime Dive is the one that had the first big information on this a month or 2 months ago on their Facebook. They brought it back up late December and was talking about it again. The fact that the jacket had been found by law enforcement in March of 2017 out in the woods. and that it was a bloody jacket. Now, I've also been told by others that they had blue jackets turned in to law enforcement, and law enforcement has actually said that the right jacket has not been turned in. So whatever that means. And I asked the person who told me that to share the receipt for that statement from law enforcement, because I have the majority of all of the live interviews that law enforcement did in this case, as well as all the major news station out of Indianapolis, Delphi, Logansport, Lafayette, West Lafayette. I have all those as well. So I'm pretty confident that I've never heard them say that, but I could be wrong. And if somebody knows that or has that information out there, I would appreciate it if they could email it to me, because I would love to see it. I don't believe we're going to hear anything quite like that until law enforcement makes an arrest in this case. Then we may hear a little bit more, but even then, we're not going to hear the evidence until they actually get into the court case. I just, and Maria's right that, I know that True Crime Garage has a ton of followers, and I understand that. Lots of people love them. Lots of people listen to their podcast. Great. That's wonderful. But they did have an episode they had to remove because they accused an innocent man in this case. And it was ugly. So I think that that's something to be said about them. So it's I think they were forced to remove it by law, by being threatened to be sued. So I think that's the reason it came down. True Crime Garage has only 4 followers. No, I don't believe that's true. But what does this say? YouTube channel James Jam has AI enhanced images that enable you to see several elements of the jacket. The collar is not the same on Bridge Guy's jacket. I don't buy into any of the enhancements because law enforcement right off the bat told us not to enhance these photos. They've been enhanced as best they possibly can. People sitting behind their computers at home cannot enhance these photos any better. They are not they're not NASA. They're just not going to be able to do it. And NASA is the one who got us the Bridge Guy photo that we have. So that's from the family. I'm going with that. Let's see. So that's pretty much, I think, all I'll say about the jacket tonight. We'll have to wait until Thursday when they come out and tell us what they're going to say. I'm sure that all of us will have a lot more to say about it. Yeah, no, they have a huge podcast, Mel, and it's not on YouTube. No, their podcast is big, and I don't think they put much out on YouTube, honestly. I think their podcast is off it's on the podcast site like Apple and all the places that you go to get your podcasts. There's only and Ivy Rose, it's true. Law enforcement told us that there are very few pixels to deal with in that video. And because of that, when you only have so many pixels, you can't make more. You can only manipulate them a certain amount. And once you do that, and then all you're doing is just adding things to it that may not be there. So yeah, it's just not a good thing. Hey Ben, go forth. Good to see you. Thank you for dropping in. Hello, Delphi Puzzle. Um, I think that whenever we go against what law enforcement has asked us not to do, we're doing a disservice to this case. And that is the bottom line. I don't think we need to say any more about it, although we seem to, because people just keep coming at us and at us. I can't tell you how many emails I had this morning telling me that they had that this person and that person had enhanced it, and you could see all kinds of things on the jacket. And I'm just like, I just no, I don't buy it. I don't believe any of it. So we just need to stick with our guns and listen to law enforcement, ladies and gentlemen. I think that that's what we need to do most. Um, Corgi Mama, I've thought about asking Kelsey if she would do that. I think I might even possibly ask Becky if she might be willing to. Um, the only problem I have, I would love to have them on. I worry about the people and the haters that come into these chats. I mean, I have some great mods here. They know how I feel about all of this, and I trust them. But if I was to put out there that I was going to have one of them on, this place is going to blow up and people are going to come in here. They want to hear and see what they have to say. And yeah, I mean, I would love to talk to them, but I don't want to re-victimize them in any way. I don't want them to feel like I'm making a entertainment night out of this. This is real life for these families. They live this every day, and as some of you know, I know some of what that means because I lost my 4-year-old son to cancer. And so I've buried a child, and I know that you live this every single day. It never goes away. And so I would love to talk to them. I may down the road think about it, and I may talk to them and see how they feel about it. Um but I certainly wouldn't want to pressure them. So anyway, let's move along. I had a video, and he's not here, and I wasn't able to talk to him. Um, but I'm a mod with him on Graz, and I think he'd be okay for me showing this. So I'm going to share my screen again and hopefully get this to play. Maria, you can tell him that I did this. I tried to find an email for him and I couldn't. And I looked for him in Discord today and I couldn't find him either. So, but I really want to play this video. This is from Unroyal. If you guys don't know who he is, will somebody please link him? Hang on a second here, guys. Let me stop this for a second. Can you please link him in the chat? And I will leave the links to these in the description box below for these channels so that everybody can go check him out. Give him a subscription and a like. He does really good work, and he's a super nice person. So, all right. So hopefully you guys can hear this tonight. I'm going to be quiet so that you can. So. The music is really low. I noticed that when I listen to it. So give it a minute till it starts talking. I'm just going to go back 1 second, just in case, and I'll read this since he's not reading it. It's just it's a slide presentation. So this is about Judge Curtis Fouts. Those of you who've followed Delphi for a long time will know that Judge Fouts was a sitting judge in Carroll County who got into trouble. He got into trouble and he had to resign because of an incident that he had put out on the internet, video of him interacting with an escort. And this is about that. So part of it. So um, one of the sorry about that, guys. One of the things he says is Carroll's Superior Judge Curtis Fouts mailed his resignation letter to Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb on June the 3rd, effectively July 31st. His resignation comes after a recent video of him at the home of an escort was posted on a website titled Diary of a Mad Escort, during which Fouts is seen kissing and touching the escort. Carroll County Sheriff Tobe Lesenby confirmed the man in the video is Fouts. The Journal and Courier called Carroll Superior Court and was told that Fouts does not speak to the media. A message was left for Fouts, giving him the opportunity to comment on the story. The Journal and Courier also emailed Fouts to give him an opportunity to comment on Scherer's video and allegations, but did not get a return message. The escort's name is Jalen Rain, and according to the website, her real name is redacted and last name is Scherer. And she told the Journal and Courier she is no longer an escort. Scherer said the video was taken in 2016 and she didn't learn Fouts was the man in the video until 2018. In the video, Fouts and Scherer talk for more than 30 minutes, and then he begins kissing her and touching her in a sexual manner. Scherer confirmed. She told him if he wanted it to go further, he needed to make an appointment. I never saw him again, she said. Asked why she videoed that particular encounter, she said his request to meet was odd, claiming to be someone important. I had been robbed a couple of times the week before, she said. He got a hold of me through a fake Facebook account, Scherer said, so she asked her attorney what she should do to protect herself. The advice was to record the encounter. It was 2 years before I found out who it was, she said, alleging that Fouts harassed her on social media. She said she recently posted the video because she wanted the public to know about the judge's behavior. I wanted everybody to know what was going on, she said. She believes she's part of the reason Fouts resigned, which was reported Wednesday by the Carroll County Comet, but she thinks she's not the only reason. Scherer said she believes that other women might come forward now that she's published the video. To be candid, Scherer, who said she lives in White County, admitted to having brushes with the law. A check of online court records indicates 6 criminal cases filed in Tippecanoe County, along with several infractions. There currently is a warrant out for her arrest based on the online court records. Lesenby said his office is not investigating Fouts. Lesenby said the Carroll County Republican Precinct Committeemen will meet on June 29th to select their candidate for the November election now that Fouts is not running. In his resignation letter, Fouts requests Holcomb appoint whomever the caucus nominates to serve out the remaining 5 months of this term. Fouts, who is a part-time lecturer in Krannert School of Management at Purdue University, filed for re-election and then withdrew from the race in February without an explanation, Lesenby said. Scherer said she spoke with the detectives from the Indiana State Police Special Investigations in May of 2019. Indiana State Police policy is not to comment on whether there is an investigation or not, as long as possible prosecution is pending, Indiana State Police Sergeant Kim Riley said. Scherer also said she went to Indianapolis, where she was interviewed by the Indiana Commission on Judicial Qualifications. The Indiana Commission on Judicial Qualifications is a forum for citizens' complaints against judges and provides the means by which standards of judicial conduct are enforced. According to its website, its challenge is to assist the judiciary in maintaining a balance between independence and accountability. Scherer said she does not feel safe because of her encounter with Fouts, and now that she's posted the video. So that's the that was the article that came out of the Carroll County Comet. And now we're going to see a video. I think is the next part is it'll be a video of her speaking live. So he points out that this is the only child molesting or CSAM case on Fouts' record as an attorney. Some of you know, because you follow me, that I don't like CP used when we're talking about child sexual abuse material, because it's not pornography. Pornography means that it's consensual, and certainly children are not consenting to any of this. I think that needs to be changed. I wish that everywhere in the United States, law enforcement would get on board with that. In the next clip, you're going to hear Jay talk about a club. Jay is the woman who former Judge Fouts met in private. This was also recorded.
It was actually these people, this club, and they were recruiting members, guys, this way. This is how they're getting, people to get a hold of them. And they were having them take these girls, all ages. They were having them take these girls, all ages, not escorts. Not that it would matter. We were all the same, but I'm saying like some of these girls were, young, and they were thinking they were talking to another girl online, and then they were thinking they were talking to another girl online, and they thought they were going to go meet this girl, and
So what she's saying is that there was a club in Lafayette, and it was a club of men, and they would go online in this club to meet girls, underage girls, and it didn't matter their ages. She said girls of all ages. And they would set up these meetings, and now she's going to tell you what happens at these meetings.
They would take these girls very violently, and they would beat them and rape them and talk explicitly about it, and then they would tie them up and they would hold them, until this club came in the middle of the night to pick up, you know, its toys.
So she said what they would do is that they would come and get these girls and meet them, and then they would beat them up and rape them, and then they would hold them until whoever came to get them to use them as their toys. So there's a club out there in Lafayette that's operating. And, you know, I know that this could be all not true, but I am more apt to believe this woman than not. I just am. These women that go through these kinds of things, they have horrific, hellish stories. And I'm so tired of people not believing the women who are abused. I'm just tired of that. But anyway, let's go on with her. I'm not sure, Mel. I can find out from Unroyal where he got this video from,
and take them wherever, to the clubhouse. And
either one of these individuals or a group, whatever that might be, that were involved in this.
So there you go. That is an interview with law enforcement right after the murders. And they are talking about an individual or a group, whatever that might be, that were involved in this. I mean, I think we've all remember hearing these things, but we've kind of forgotten them. You know, I mean, you can, I mean, there's 5 years of information here, guys. It's a lot. And it's really easy to forget some of this stuff. So I thought, you know, when I started my new channel, that was one of the things I wanted to do, was kind of go back through the history of this stuff and some of these interviews and things that were said, because we have forgotten. And now it kind of may make a little bit more sense with what we know now. So that's Unroyal's video that he made on this about networks, clubs, and victims. And I don't know. I mean, my thought was when Jalen Rain, which was her escort name, when she brought this all up about Fouts, I thought maybe some other women would come forward that may have been involved in this, where they were beaten and raped and taken back to be toys for somebody. And, you know, I'm not saying that that's what happened to Abby and Libby, but we don't know. And because of the catfishing stuff with everything that's going on, we truly don't know what the ulterior motive was here. And if it was just the fact that Bridge Guy got wind of this and the girls and all of this and just happened to go out there that day. None of us know. So, with that being said, it's always good, like I said, to look at all the different things that are in this case, because it's a case of so many layers. There's just so many angles and so many things. I can honestly understand why it has taken them so long to wade through all of this. And there's been so many different comments by law enforcement, but law enforcement told us that we are going to be shocked when Bridge Guy's revealed. Doug Carter has said it. I believe Tobe said it. And I believe Kim Riley said it. And if that's the case, and I've asked this question of everyone before, just try to think about that for a while and what that means. What would shock us about Bridge Guy when he's revealed to us? What would be shocking? Well, to me, one thing that comes to mind is what would shock me is that he was the president of his church, such as BTK was. I mean, he look what he did, and for as long as he did, he was an upstanding citizen in the community. He was the president of his church, so he went every Sunday. He made people think that he was a good Christian. He had children. His children had no clue that this man was psychotic and was doing the horrible things that he was doing. Those are the things that I think of when I talk about shock. I think that it could possibly be someone from a very well-to-do family. There's a lot of really powerful families in this area because there's a lot of money surrounding Delphi. And I don't think a lot of people realize that just because it's rural America in the Midwest is farmland. And there's a lot of old family farms, many generational farms here in the Midwest. I'm in the Midwest. I'm only 2.5 hours from Delphi. And so there's a lot of money. And so there's a lot of families that they have pull. Lovely. Oh, ho, ho. Why is this not working? Where is my mods? They disappeared. Why can't I get him? There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so anyway, they're going to always come to oh, I don't want that. I don't want to unblock her. I need to unblock her. Maria, are you still in here somewhere? AJ, can you help me? Will you see if you can unblock Maria, can you please thank you. Thank you. I did the same thing I did the other night. As I was blocking him, it moved up and I got the wrong person. So I'm really sorry. I did not mean that to go on the screen. And I apologize to that, you guys, so much. But anyway, as you can see, that is why I'm afraid of having the family on because of people like that that will come in here and disrupt everything. So I'm really sorry, ditching the grind. I certainly did not mean to do that. I so apologize. But anyway, so going back to that whole idea, I just think we need to be open-minded of what may be going on here and what law enforcement may be looking at. And I think it was Mel that said there's many layers to this case. It's extremely complicated. They've told us it's complicated. And it's just not just straightforward. And I think that that's led to a lot of issues for law enforcement, unfortunately. So let's see. There was something. I wanted to talk to you guys about. Hold on one second. I'm just looking for it. That I thought was really interesting. I thought you guys might find it interesting. Let me share my screen again with you. So this was put on Reddit, and The question was, why were there 2 press conferences on February 14th of 2019? And why does McClellan state he may be prosecuting a female? And as soon as I saw this, my mind just flew to Kelsey. I knew that's what these people were probably talking about. And so anyway, so this is what I wanted you guys to see. Does anyone know why there were 2 pressers held on February 13th, 2019? Well, it wasn't February 13th. I believe it was February 14th is what they said. So one was held indoors and one was held outdoors. Does anyone know the times and locations of each? The indoor press conference included prosecutor Nick McClellan giving the following statement to the killer. I'm confident we're going to solve this case. So I'm confident that if he's listening in, or if she's listening in, or whoever it is, that at some point I will be sitting across from you in the courtroom. And so that's about all I can say about it. Nick McClellan, 214 of 19. So their question is, who is she? The killer is obviously a man, right? I mean, that's what we see. Why would the prosecutor specifically mention a woman? Why did nobody in the press clarify that when he said it? I'm going to go out here on a limb and defend Nick McClellan on this for a moment. In my mind, the only reason that he would have said he, she, or whoever it is, he was covering all of his bases just in case. Because hey, DMG, you actually woke up at 3:30 in the morning to listen to me. I feel special. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much. So yeah, I don't think there was anything to read into that. I don't think they're necessarily looking for a woman in the case, but I think they were covering their bases in case it turned out that there was a woman or somebody else involved, because it was early. They didn't know. They didn't know anything. It was the 14th of February. They did not know literally anything. And I know people are going to say, oh, it was Ashley Garth. I think that's, yeah, here's the first comment was, it could be Ashley Garth with Garrett Kurtz. Obviously possible, but that's where that's at. This person says, below is another example where a she is also referenced in regards to having possible circumstantial knowledge and or involvement with the individual responsible for the killings. Please see the excerpts below from the Fox 59 interview with former special agent in charge, Jay Abbott. The FBI reiterates the need to come forward and that they will protect he or she, even if they feel they are complicit in some way. And see, I think here they're talking to the alibi. They're talking to anyone who may or may not have familial contact with Bridge Guy or be a friend of Bridge Guy or someone he knows. That's why they're saying he or she. Please come forward. There's someone out there who knows something, who knows the person, who knows something about the murder. That person, he or she, is either afraid to come forward because they're fearful, or maybe they even feel themselves being complicit in some way. And to that person, I would tell them, we'll protect you. You'll be safe. And they would be doing an incredible service to the families and the community by bringing closure to them. There are things that occurred or that were found in the crime scene that only the killer would know. Those are things, as have been explained to the family and others, and certainly to the media, that we just cannot speak about because we do not want to. We do not want the killer to know what we know. Whoever he or she is, more probably he, that person is out of freedom now in really many ways. They have to wake up every morning knowing and wondering if today is the day that they're going to be finally caught. Are there those persons who might potentially know something circumstantially about them that will give them away, will actually come forward? And so that person already is not free because they're living in fear every day that somebody's going to turn them in. Whether they care or not about this horrendous act that they committed, they'll be caught at some point. It all comes to a head eventually, as in the past, there are no saving graces allotted after arrests. I suspect that there's a very strong probability that the killer had a close relationship with a possible girlfriend or former workmate at the time of the killings. They could be married now. Strong likelihood there's another male co-worker who also could have circumstantial knowledge. This individual might have conveniently exited the area as well. All currently living out of state. Just my honest opinion. The full transcript of the FBI interview may be found at this location, and I will link this in my description box below my live. And one of the comments was, wow, thanks for sharing this. There's no way to misperceive this. One, as he was talking to a bridge guy's wife. So the prosecutor and the FBI have both presented the possibility that the person arrested may include a female, with the exception of AG. I've never heard a female suspect mentioned. I would think AG would be street smart enough to utilize her knowledge of these murders as leverage for her criminal case. She probably would have gotten QFAD'd. I think I'm on the same track of who you're referring to. Hadn't quite buttoned it up yet. Definitely not Subaru employees. So I just still think that they're talking to a potential alibi witness. And that's just my opinion here. But I did think it was something to note, because again, it goes back to those early days, and we forget what was said, and we forget how everybody takes every word that law enforcement says, and then they take it out of context. And when they take it out of context, it means something else. And it fits a narrative that they want it to, which is confirmation bias. And that is exactly what we've been talking about this week. So I just thought it was a good thing to show. The original poster came back and said, they told us the killer in the photo is absolutely a man. 6 months later, they gave us a sketch with the face of someone who is very clearly a man. But 2 years later, in one small moment, this guy decides by himself to be vague in mentioning a she being involved. So we believe they're looking at any women and men. Why be vague at this point? Why are they consistently vague? If the bad guy we are being asked to identify as a man, why muddy the waters by mentioning a female? I'm sorry, it doesn't make sense unless they actually are looking at a female involvement and he slipped intentionally or accidentally. So again, I still think it's just an alibi. And as this person said, it could be a female giving the perpetrator a false alibi. But again, here's my point. By the way, I'm fairly confident folks are probably reading too much into the use of a single word here. And again, I believe that is completely true, because these folks want it to fit their narrative. So that's how you pull stuff out like that. So this I thought was kind of interesting, and I thought that we might watch some of this. We'll see how much we'll watch of it, but this is the very first presser in Delphi after locating the girls' bodies. And this is the same person, I believe, but the same poster. But he says, I spent some time rewatching all the pressers from day one and noting the process of this case, the investigators, the family, the evidence, etc. I came across this and I thought I would share it since I hadn't seen it myself in over 5 years. Nothing against the local boys, and he's talking about Tobe Lesenby and the Delphi Police Department and the Sheriff's Department, but this video shows just how just out of their depth they were. Carter gets a lot of criticism because this case is not cleared, but this video serves as a reminder that this whole thing could have been swept under the rug and easily forgotten if it wasn't for the ISP and FBI stepping in and staying committed to justice for the girls. Now, I know a lot of people are going to run with that and be super angry. How could anybody sweep a double murder of two teenage girls under the rug? But I'll tell you what he's talking about. It isn't for lack of trying, it's because had they not requested FBI help, the FBI cannot just come in and start investigating murders. The FBI is a federal law enforcement agency. They can't just come into the state and start investigating things. There's certain things that they have to be actually invited in for. And this is one of them. Now, especially early on. Now, if they were doing a side-by-side investigation into a CSAM ring of some kind and came across evidence that might help in an ongoing murder investigation, that's one thing. But this is the very early days we're talking about here. So Indiana State Police, they brought tons of resources that the local law enforcement never would have had. You're talking about law enforcement agencies in rural America that have very little money. These law enforcement, these cities, some of them have money, but some of them don't. When it comes to paying for law enforcement and paying for safety, that's why they have volunteer fire departments. They don't have actual fire departments. They're all volunteer. And so, I mean, you have to think about those things. These police departments and law enforcement departments have very small employment. I figured it out. I think the county, Carroll County, had 7 officers, I believe, and Delphi had like 4 or something like that. I mean, we're talking super small. And that to me makes a huge difference. So anyway, let's see if we can listen to this press conference, a little bit of it anyway. God, I've got it up all the way. I mean, they're sitting in front of the press and they didn't even know where the bodies were. Now, I'm not trying to disparage Kim Riley here. I'm just wanting you to think about how overwhelmed these officers are right now as they're sitting here because of what they've seen, what they've heard, and what they have to talk about. So they're very overwhelmed. And this is Mullins. He's the chief of police of Delphi proper. And this is Tobe Lesenby, the Carroll County sheriff. And this is Kim Riley here. So for those that are new and don't know those people. So I think that's important to note because people have asked, where was the crime scene technicians from? It was the FBI crime scene technicians out of Indianapolis that processed that crime scene. Sorry, Maria, it is so super low. I can't get it. I mean, it's that way on the video. I had trouble hearing it even with my headphones in, but at least they've got the closed captioning on. He's basically asking him right now they if they they have not identified the girls at this point, but he wants to know if they've called off the search. And he said no, there's people still out looking for them because they had not positively identified them yet. I think they knew that this was it. Yes, Maria, everything's up as loud as it'll go. This video was recorded. Whoever recorded this video recorded it low. And I don't know where he got this or where this video came from. It's being played through Reddit, so that may be why. I'm not sure why. I probably should have played mine. So they asked him why they believe that there was foul play. He said to them that he was not going to be able to answer those kinds of questions at this time, but he would say that just because the way the bodies were found. So since you guys can't hear it, we won't continue to play it. But I'll tell you that Chief Mullins says during this press conference, because he's asked if people should be concerned and afraid in the city, and he said no, that he will leave it up to Carroll County residents or Delphi citizens to know how to take this information and deal with it, which I thought was one of the most craziest things I heard law enforcement say during this whole investigation. You just have two murdered teenagers in your backyard, basically, and you've never had a murder like this in the history of your county, and nobody has been caught yet. And you're telling the public that they really don't have any reason to be worried. Tobe Lesenby says it as well when they go outside and do the outside press conference. However, Kim Riley says that parents need to be diligent and know where their children are and make sure they know what they're doing online. And that's what Kim Riley said. So there was a whole lot of differences of opinion sitting in those three gentlemen during that press conference about the safety of the community. That has always been something that stuck out to me in this case, because I just never to me did it make sense that that law enforcement wouldn't say something. I mean, I understand they don't want to panic people, but people are already panicked. It's a small little town. Everybody knows everybody. And two of their young girls have just been brutally murdered and nobody's in jail. And everybody's looking at everybody. I mean, Kelsey talks about that, about how it was like they were walking around and everybody was looking at everybody. You know, everybody was trying to, especially after they released the photo of Bridge Guy on the bridge on the 19th. Or was it the 17th? Yeah, the 17th, when they released it. And they said that they wanted to talk to this gentleman, that he was possible had information of what he'd seen out there that day. And then it was just 2 days later that they said he was the person of interest and that they felt he was responsible. So I I just don't know what they were thinking. But it goes back to what the post was about it in Reddit, that the Delphi and Carroll County officers were way in over their head in the beginning. So, I think that without the state police and the FBI, we could be way, way, way behind the 8 ball on this one. I mean, seriously, I really think that things could have gone even worse than what some people feel it has already to today. So I have a lot of confidence in the FBI as an agency, and I know that they have their own issues at times, but they've done some amazing things. And the fact that they took Jerry Holman, the lead investigator in the early days, down to Quantico and trained him in 2017, I think was huge for this case. They took him and trained him. One of the other things that I'm not sure everybody's aware of, they use the Delphi case for training classes in Quantico. Today, they're doing that. They're taking this case and presenting it to new trainees that are coming in as FBI investigators. So when you stop and think about that, I think it's huge, and I think they're going to find him. I mean, I think that they're definitely on a path. I feel confident with that. True Crime Maria and I talk about it a lot, about how we've all seen a difference in Doug Carter. And I think the last few weeks and all the interviews that he did immediately after the 5-year anniversary, I don't think that that was put on. People do, but I don't. I think that man is as honest as they come. I think he wants so badly to catch this guy, but he was speaking directly to him. We know about you. In fact, we know a lot about you, and we're coming. I hope you sleep well. And I think he meant every word of it. Now, whether or not there's a huge thing that's going to explode in this case and we're going to all be absolutely floored, I love when he tells us, I wish I could tell you what we know and why we've done the things we have. And one day I'm certain that I will. I think that that's telling enough. So I wanted to go through real quick and look at some of the comments that we had on the show. Corgi Mama says, I don't believe the girls were intentionally meeting some hot guy. Kelsey would have picked up on it. I know Libby's location have been picked up through Snapchat. I think that there's a possibility that one of two things happened. They were possibly talking. There's a possibility that they may have been talking to the Emily Ann 45 profile of that Kagan Klein was using as a girl and as a friend, and may have possibly been drawn out there to meet her. I think that's very possible. Hey, I'm going to go to the trails, whatever. We'll meet you guys out there. We'll have a blast. That kind of thing. That could very well be a possibility. Because I do think that he was using that particular profile to gain these young girls' trust. And no better way to do it than pretend like you're a young girl just like them and talk about boys and talk about all the things, music and all the things that young girls like to talk about. So that's my take on that one. Was there a stuffed animal at the scene? This would be his ticket to their hearts. We don't know anything about what was at the crime scene. We know that they said the crime scene was extremely unusual. Robert Ives has told us that. And he also said it was not your typical murder scene. And he used a analogy of a case that he had where a husband had shot his wife, and you went into that. He shot her in the head. You went into the crime scene. You walked in, you looked at the crime scene, and you knew exactly what had happened there. It was a murder. You knew he had shot her in the head. He said this crime scene was unusual in the way that when you walked into the crime scene, it didn't tell you exactly what was going on. So I think that is telling. He also told us that when you walk upon the crime scene, it was something that you would want to photograph. So I think, there's something there. There's something that's weird that they'd never seen before. So that's where I'll go with that, William. Thanks for the comment. Ben, Libby was a very street smart girl. I think she was wise beyond her years. I think that she was extremely intelligent. She had to have been for being 14 years old and taking courses down at Purdue down the street in Lafayette, which also opened her up to being stalked. If you stop and think about somebody who's 14 on a college campus taking classes, that was one of the first things that I thought about as well. She could have been stalked from there. Let's see what some of these are. I'm not sure, Lipsha, what you mean. Quantico? Yeah, Quantico. I'm not sure what that meant, but it's a real shame they did ditching. I believe they finally admitted to that on the last HLN special. What ditching are you talking about? Not sure what you're talking about. DMG, it is. This case is so frustrating, and it's because there's so many ins and outs to it. Oh yeah, for hi Upsa Daisy, glad you're here. Yeah, Snapchat did not have a location feature until after I think it was in the summer of 2017 when it actually became available. So they couldn't have seen location from Snapchat necessarily, but if they were actually chatting with someone, that's how they would have known. And law enforcement, by Kagan Klein's interview on HLN special, said that law enforcement told him he was the last person to be speaking with Libby. So we have to go with that. Hey, RJ. I hope the details are never fully released. Prosecute the guy, seal the case, and let the girls rest in peace. I agree with you. I'm torn about it because I really want to see the guy be held accountable in court. I certainly do. But to do that, they have to bring out everything they went through, everything they did. And it will be horrific for the families, let alone for us. So I know where you're coming from on that one. Let's see. Yeah, Ivy Rose, you're right. There were a lot of interesting things said by Ives in that interview. He's always been one that wanted to talk a little bit more than anybody else. And I don't know if it's just because he's not law enforcement. He's actually the prosecuting side. But I do think that he really wanted to talk a lot more about what he saw than they would allow for him to. And when they put down when Nick McClellan was sworn in as the new prosecutor, he basically put the squash to everything and said everything had to come through him. And he wanted to approve all comments on the case. So, yeah, I think Tobe takes a lot of heat. I go back to when he said that he has the picture, the video, the video and the audio recording of Bridge Guy on his cell phone. And he takes it home, and when he's sitting on the couch, he plays it and he listens to it, and he plays it and he listens to it. And he knows that he's heard the voice before, but he can't place it. And that's got to be really hard to be in his position and to think that he's either talked to the person or knows the person, but he can't place them. William says, could it be on Snapchat that the murderer saw the pictures posted and headed over to the trail? Only if they were friends with her. Unless she had her Snapchat set to photos can be seen by everyone. Otherwise, it would have only have been able to be seen by her friends. And if she was friends with Emily Ann 45, then yes, whoever may have been using that profile could have seen that. So let's see here. No, Ivy Rose, they were, but I'm just saying that she's still on a college campus. She's still being exposed to college age people. And so that's all I was meaning by that. I didn't mean that she was actually sitting in on a normal college class. Oh, you're talking about that. Yeah. You know, I'm not actually astonished because they don't see double homicides very often. It's very, very rare in children. Very, very rare. So it doesn't surprise me that this is not a training case. Quite honestly. Yes, Ben, you're correct. There was an interview recently with Tobe. It was during the anniversary, the 5th anniversary. I saw him. He was walking in the trails, and when he was being interviewed, and he said and it even might have been for the HLN special. I can't remember for sure, but he said that he knows he made mistakes that night. He knows that calling off the search was a mistake, and he knows that calling off the dogs was a mistake. He honestly believed that the girls were going to be found okay. And he believed that because they had never had a murder of a child in their county. And he never expected anything like this. He all of their missing people in Carroll County, he will tell you that like 98 to 99% of them were found okay. So they didn't think that there was going to be any harm to these girls. I don't believe for 1 minute that he did it nefariously or to screw things up. But yeah, he made a mistake. And the fact that he called off the dogs, it's one of the worst ones, because I keep thinking to myself, had he not called the dogs off that night, the dogs could have very well found the path that Bridge Guy took to exit that crime scene. So or found him if he was still out there. So yeah, I wish that hadn't happened for sure. Yes, Tobe is the one was responsible for that. And let's see. What do you think about law enforcement telling Kagan that he was the last to talk? Do you think it's the truth, or do you think they found communication? I think it's the truth. I think they found communication, and they were letting him know they knew. They were letting him know they knew. And I think hopefully either to scare him specifically or to scare the person he may be alibying for, or if he knows who he gave or may have shared information on Libby with, they were hoping he would give that information up, because they know he was sharing with somebody in Dropbox some of his CSAM. So I think that's kind of what I'm leaning to on how I feel about that. But yeah, I don't think they were lying to him if that's the case, if that's what they said to him. No. Sure, you can mention whatever you want in the chat. Go ahead, options 96. No, he called the dogs off the night before. He called the dogs off even before way before the search was called off. Like they were already on the dogs were supposedly already on their way. And I think it was like around 9 or 10 o'clock at night when the dogs were called off on the 13th. That's quite possible, Ben. It is, but I don't think they're grasping at straws. I think they have a lot more information. I think they got a lot more information off that phone than we think they did. And there's a lot of redacted stuff on the affidavit. And I just believe they know a lot more than we think they know. I don't know. I'm not going to go out there and on a limb and say, and the only reason ditching that I'm not going to do that is because I don't have a POI. And I think it's truly hard to tell what Bridge Guy's age is. I will tell you that I think the voice sounds like a person who smoked. He has a raspy voice. And his voice, it's like his vocal cords are possibly damaged a little bit, which could be from smoking, or it could be from chewing tobacco, which are things that people that live in the rural areas do. They do those things, especially chewing tobacco. It's a big thing with farming communities. I don't know why, it just is. Oh, wow. Option 96. I did not know that. That's interesting information. They said that there was a double murder committed up in Ontario, on Toronto on the 13th of December in 2017. Was it two girls, or was what was it? Yeah, as far as that goes, the posting of the picture, you're correct. When she posted the picture at 2:07, that wouldn't possibly be enough time unless they lived in one of the houses that butts up to the area of where they were at. Somebody could have done that, but or if they were if they already thought that they may be going out there and they were out there and they had a phone and they got notification of the Snapchat upload, that could also be possible, but I doubt that, because the only way that would work to me is if they were using a burner phone of some kind, because otherwise the phone would have pinged in their net that they did. They did a net within a 5-mile radius of cell phones. Robert Ives told us that. And I think they would have caught it if if Bridge Guy had a cell phone at the scene. But time will tell. We'll find that out eventually. Let's see. Relax, sleep, repeat. So did they ever mention if Bridge Guy came back to put the bodies in the position they were found, or did they think it all happened on the same day? We have never, ever been told by law enforcement ever about what happened that day. They have given us no information on what they think happened, except that they came across this man on the bridge who told them guys down the hill, and that from that point, the girls were attacked and murdered. We don't know how or by whom, how many. We don't know what happened at the crime scene. We don't know if the girls. One thing that the law enforcement has told us is that the girls died where they were found. I don't believe the bodies were moved. I don't believe the terrain in that location. It would be impossible to move those bodies if they were dead. And if they even were not dead and they were trying to get them out of there and the girls didn't want to go or were giving them a problem, if it was just one guy, I mean, you have to go watch some of the terrain videos that are out there. If you go to my subreddit, Delphi's Daughters, the first post on my subreddit it's like a wiki page. It has tons of information on it. And there's videos in there that you can watch that show the terrain if you're not familiar, where they go out and walk through the woods. They show you how hilly, the deep ravines where the girls were found. Yeah, I just think that that's not something that probably happened. Hi, Jossie. Nice to see you. Yeah, Sammy, welcome. I'm glad to see you here. Yeah, he did admit he made mistakes, and we can't berate them for that. They had no experience, so it was hard for them. We don't know if the girls crossed the creek on their own. We don't even know. We don't know what happened. We don't know how any of that happened. So, I do too, Lipsha. I think that because of the experience that they had in that county, of most of the time they're missing people being found unharmed and never having homicides with children, that was the last thing on their minds, that those girls were hurt or dead or dying or any of that. They just didn't. Hey, Lynn. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Yes, RJ, go ahead. Ben says, very true, Kristen. I've heard former law enforcement officials say it's a good thing they haven't released any other info than they have. And it's the truth. They need to keep things close to the vest. They don't want to have false confessions. If you put out what's at the crime scene and what the crime scene looked like, or how the girls were killed, or what they found at the crime scene, you would have an influx, and I hate to say this, but of mentally disturbed people that either want 15 minutes of fame or are just super sick that will come in and admit to the murders. So that's one of the reasons why. Let's see. Yes, the FBI has come out and said that they cannot do much with the voice. They can't make an ID from the voice sample. They can't tell linguistics from the voice sample. It's just the audio clip is too short. That's what they said. Now, I'm not a linguist, so I don't know, but I'm sure that the FBI has looked through that and combed through that and done everything possible, I'm sure. Because stop and think about it. How many cases do you think where they get video, audio, of the murder, of their murderer? I mean, that's what's so frustrating. They have that and we still don't have an arrest. That's what is so frustrating about this case. Well, guys, I didn't expect it to go 2 hours, but it did, and I guess I'm glad that we we got through a lot of stuff. I feel like we had good conversation. Everybody remained respectful. Thank you so much for keeping my chat respectful. It's something that I ask for everyone here. You're all able to give your opinions and your ideas, as long as you don't bash any family members. I'm good with that. I just, that's all I ask of everyone that comes in. I just really like the fact that we can talk about it and discuss it, and everybody can, put out ideas of what they think. And like I said, I tend to just side on the side of law enforcement with most things. I want us to go off of what they've told us. We can't fill in the blanks. When we start filling in the blanks of the information that we don't know, it leads us completely off the path of where we should be. So I hope everyone has a really good evening, a rest of your evening. And I do want to let everyone that's in here know I'm going to have a live on Saturday night, and Skip Jansen is going to be my guest. He will be the first guest I have on my show. And if you guys are not aware of who he is a person who was involved in the DP theory at the very, very beginning. He did a podcast with True Crime Garage. He was kind of lumped in with the whole Face Man and Jeff Burke mess. But he's going to be on my show on Saturday night. So I hope everyone will come and welcome him, and let's hear what he has to say regarding all this stuff that's going to be going on with True Crime Garage this week. But yes, thank you so very much. And if you would subscribe and like my channel, I would appreciate it. And everybody, thank you again for spending your evening with me. Have a good evening.